Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dokkan Battle video, and today we are going to talk about all of the news that has come out recently for the global celebration. I am recording this at about 11:30 a.m. Central Time on July 6th, so literally like just hours from now the banners are going to drop later tonight. I think it's about like 6 or 7 hours from now, the time I'm recording this video. And so a couple of things happened over the last 24 hours or so. A lot of developments, right? So we did have the live stream that went and revealed some stuff, and then we actually had a data download, and then we also have a leak. So we got a lot of things to cover here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover like the main characters. In the data download, they did talk about like some other events and things that are coming out. I'm not going to cover that in this video. Just know that there are some more difficult events and some fun events coming out, but I want to talk mainly about characters and themes of celebrations and things like that, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly go through all of the characters and just show them and explain what's going on, and then I'm going to go through maybe the kits and we'll talk about the kits together and see what they look like, right? So the big units of the celebration that we knew about, we do have the Blue Goku and Vegeta that are a reversible exchange, and then they do Vegito there, as you can see, but just as an attack, which I know there's a lot of controversy on that, right? We have the Goku Black and Zamasu unit, so these are the two headliner units. We do know that Goku Black and Zamasu is a Carnival unit. You can see on the leader skill that they have a Carnival leader skill, and then the Goku and Vegeta, they are a Dokkan Fest. Then the banner unit that is on the Dokkan Fest, this is a very odd choice to me. I would have never expected Champa. But I'm actually happy about it because my main team on my new account, because once again, for those of you that don't know, I'm a veteran player, but I recently started over on a new account. This Champa is going to be really awesome on my Universe 6 team, so I'm actually really excited for this Champa. We'll talk about his kit in a minute. So Champa's the banner unit. And then what is actually really cool, and this is something that, back when I did the Dokkan podcast with 5-9 Gaming, I believe this topic had come up before as something that we wanted. And I think, 2 years ago when we had the Future Saga worldwide celebration, this was talked about as a possibility, because just the year before that, I believe, was the Cooler celebration. And during the Cooler celebration, what they had done was they had done all of the Cooler clones as like a different typing unit. They had been in the game for a long time, but they all got like Awakenings and EZAs, which were really cool. Well, what they're doing here is they're doing the Goku Black clones as a full team. So you're going to see we're going to have all the Goku Black clones as different typing. So this is awesome, because especially for a player like me that has started a fresh account, this is going to be another great like free-to-play team I can run, a great free-to-play option, right? Then the bad boys, we've got a Super EZA for Physical Vegito Blue, which people were anticipating, and then we got AGL Rose, and then we actually got a Super EZA for this Goku Black Zamasu. This is a unit that I would consider to be like one of the shafted units in the game, where they just like rushed through their EZA way too quickly. So this guy on release just came out and EZA'd immediately and just wasn't that good, like not at all. So this guy came out 5 years ago, never had a chance for an upgrade because he already had his EZA. So now we're getting a Super EZA, and he actually looks really solid. So I'm very happy for this unit, because this is a unit that has like really good animations and like a really cool, it's just a really cool, unique character. Probably not a character we're ever going to get a summonable version of, and they were just bad. So it was just a wasted character. So now that they're going to be back and good again is very awesome, and they're going to be very easily farmable, right? And we're going to have, as soon as the celebration starts, we're going to have unlimited boost for, I believe it just lasts 24 hours, but we'll have unlimited boost. So that's going to make it really easy to grind out Awakening medals and to grind out free-to-play characters. So very happy for this, Zamasu parentheses Goku. Very cool. And then the big leak that we got is we actually found out what part 2 is already. My boy Hydros here posted on Twitter, Hydros from 5-9 Gaming here. So in the data, apparently they went into burst mode, and in burst mode they have the jukebox, which is where you can buy all the sound files, and they updated the image so there's an Omega Shenron section on there, because you could get the music from his original burst mode, and they changed the image to the new Dokkan Fest image. So this is a character we do not have in game yet, and this is clearly like a Dokkan Fest LR art. So we know now in part 2 we're going to get a Dokkan Fest LR Omega Shenron, which tells us that the Part 2 theme is going to be GT, which means it's very likely that the second unit will be a Carnival, and it will either be a Super Saiyan 4 Goku Vegeta exchange unit, or maybe a standalone Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta unit. Also means we could get like an EZA for Int Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, I think would highly be likely. I also think it's highly likely we get Super EZAs for the original Dokkan Fest Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Vegeta, the AGL and STR ones. So a lot of things just gleam from this one singular image, right? And then if I go back to, Hydros' most recent post, JP already changed it back. So they realized they made a mistake. They changed this image back to the original Shenron Dokkan Fest image and said, whoops, we shouldn't have done that yet. And you would think Dokkan would learn by now, because anytime they do something like this, like, they should know the community's going to see it, right? Like any of these subtle things, any hint we can try to find, we are going to, dig up and get it. So this is kind of exciting because, coming into the celebration, I'll admit I was a little disappointed with Future because it was one that we had just had 2 years ago, and I was really looking forward to Daima, namely Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Well, being GT in Part 2 is kind of a consolation because Super Saiyan 4s are kind of what I want, and I want to get that team built up on my account again. And something that also was confirmed in the data download was they did show the banner images. And so on the Goku banner, so on this banner here, whoops, back to here. On this banner here, the 10th anniversary AGL LR Vegeta that exchanges into Goku, that turns into Gogeta, they're going to be on this banner. So that tells you that sprinkled throughout this, we are going to get the 10th anniversary units returning. And on the Carnival banner, this banner here, they did put the Evolution Blue Vegeta Carnival and the Goku exchange with Frieza unit. So in Part 2, it's safe to say, especially with that GT, Super Saiyan 3 LR Goku is definitely going to be on the Carnival banner for that. So they're going to be on the Gogeta banner. We're just going to assume it's a Gogeta, or it's going to be a Super Saiyan 4 exchange unit, but he's going to be on that banner as well. So that's very, very exciting, right? So let's go ahead. Let's just go through the kits really quick in case you haven't read them yet. So we'll start with the Goku Vegeta unit. They are Future Saga infused fighters. And then the full, 200+% is the 220 lead, I guess we would call it, would be Bond of Parent and Child or Final Trump card. It's a setup that I would say is a little bit limiting. Like, you're not going to have a huge roster for this, but the roster is going to be very good. So it's a fine leader skill, provided you have these units. And once again, you summon on the banners, you're going to fill out this team pretty quickly. So their attack and defense 200, and they receive an additional 2 ki per ki sphere. So that's just their basic effects. And then per super class or Future Saga, depending on which has more, you get attack and defense 50 up to 150. So you only need 3. Chance of evading and damage reduction up to 60%. And once again, you only need 3. So this is going to be free. Like, you're going to get this because you're either going to have Future Saga or Super Class with them. You would actively have to go out of your way to build a team to not get this full setup. So you're going to be just fine, and you're going to have that. So you can almost consider this here as like a start of turn effect, right? So they're pretty much going to have an extra attack and defense 150, and they're going to have 60% dodge and 60% damage reduction, which is really good. Like, the thing that's happening now with modern Dokkan is that they just have to give all of these units so many defensive mechanics just to live in really hard content. And me, as a person who just started a new account, I'm going to be feeding off these banners because all of these units are going to be such good upgrades to my account, right? When all allies in the same turn are super class, or when there's a Future Saga category ally attacking the same turn, launches a guaranteed additional super, another chance to dodge 20%, and another damage reduction 10. So they're actually 80% dodge with 70% damage reduction. That is absolutely ludicrous. And this is just the Goku side of it, by the way. There is also the Vegeta side of it. So I'll have to go, the Vegeta side, yeah, that'll be down here. We'll go through that. But just crazy. And then when you do the active skill, or when you have 18 or more ki, you get another 200% attack, and attacks are effective against all types. So this is a unit where you almost wouldn't have to put crit into. Now, they don't have any, they don't have any built-in crit. So if you want like the big damage, I mean, crit is kind of important, but because they have effective against all types, it's like a little bit less important. But you know what? I think you almost do put crit. I feel like you build this unit offensively, because with all of the built-in dodge and damage reduction, I don't think you need any more dodge on this unit. So I think you could almost go like crit additional build, or you could go raw stats on this guy. Raw stats might even be just the way to go. You also have to take into consideration, you know, Vegeta. So after 4 turns, you can exchange into Vegeta. Okay. And then the active skill for Goku is raise attack by 300%, cause ultimate damage, attack and defense 20%. And can nullify attacks that are guaranteed to hit, making it possible to evade. So if you use Goku's active skill, you can actually dodge bosses that have guaranteed hits, which is very awesome. That was one of my favorite things I liked about Tech UI Goku. And so we have another unit that's going to do it. Now, the big difference is the way this sounds, I think this is only going to affect this unit, not the entire team, right? So just keep that in mind. And then the 12 key super attack effect greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, colossal damage, lower attack. And then the ultra super, the 18 key, greatly raise attack, mega colossal, and then raises allies defense by 60% for 1 turn. And the way this guy is built, they are definitely a slot 1 unit with all the defensive mechanics. So you put him in slot 1, do the 18 key, and then you get 60% defense for the rest of your rotation. That's pretty dummy ridiculous right there, right? Let's go ahead and take a look at the Vegeta. I forgot to actually open up his tab, but let's take a look at the Vegeta side. So if we go into the Vegeta side, key +7 and attack and defense 200, high chance to crit, high chance to evade, 40% damage reduction, key 3 and attack and defense 80% for the character and allies whose names include Trunks. So he's an Key 3, 80% support for specifically Trunks and himself, which is kind of interesting. So if you're running with other Trunks units, like, could actually be kind of crazy. As the third attacker, attack 150 guaranteed crit. When attacking with 18 or more key, attack and defense 250 and launches an additional super. And then when doing the active skill or the 20 or more key, defense 150 and launches an additional super. So like, the way I see myself using the Vegeta, I feel like there's no reason like you wouldn't want to just be in Goku most of the time. Goku is way more defensive and just seems like the better unit overall. But the Vegeta has like the ridiculous crit, right? So if you say wanted to build the character with all like just stats, like attack and defense stats, and don't put any crit onto them, you could just, when you want to like finish a big boss or like you know you need to get a kill, you bring out Vegeta and get the kill, because with the guaranteed crits and all the damage, I think Vegeta is going to do better that way. But then for your standard, like most of the fight, you're probably going to want to be in Goku with all of the dodge and damage reduction, right? But very, very good unit, right? And then the Vegeta's active skill massively raises attack, does ultimate damage, guards all attacks, and then future saga category allies attack and defense 15, plus an additional defense 10% for characters who belong to bond of parent and child for 4 turns. So the Vegeta active skill is going to be specifically if you want to like deal out some support to the whole team. So if you're like in a really long grindy fight, you want the Vegeta active skill for the support, you could do that. Here's the nice thing too with reversible exchange. You could go into Vegeta, pop the active skill, and then just go back to Goku like the same turn. So you can pretty much just choose which active skill you want. And there are times I definitely could see myself wanting the support. But if I feel like I need to dodge cancel, then I'm definitely going to do Goku's, right? So there's the Goku Vegeta. Very, very good, crazy unit there, right? We'll close that tab down. Let's go into the Zamasu Goku Black unit. So there's super bosses, 220. This actually bodes fairly well for me because I did summon a lot on the Universe 6 celebration, which they're like almost all super bosses. I also happened to pick up AGL Jiren, so I've got a lot of good units. Now, the ideal setup is probably to do like a full extreme setup with these guys. So my hope is throughout the celebration, I can get enough to make like a full actually like Goku Black Zamasu type setup. But if I need to fill in with like a Universe 6 unit or like Jiren, I know I can do that, right? But I think Tech Cal and Caulifla would be a really good one too. So his basic effects are attack and defense 200, an additional 2 key per key sphere, and then attack and defense 80%, and attacks are effective against all types for allies whose names include Goku Black. So any Goku Black type of units are going to be effective against all types. I feel like this is the first time I've seen this type of support. I've seen units that give like percentage chance to crit and stuff like that and percentage chance to dodge, but I've never seen somebody as a support that just gives effective against all types to the rest of your rotation. That's pretty cool. And then kind of mirroring the Goku unit, if this is per Extreme Class or Future Saga, you get attack and defense up to 150, and then crit chance and damage reduction up to 60. So the big difference here is the Goku Black unit gets crit instead of dodge. So this unit, you definitely aren't going to want to put any crit on hidden potential, but they don't have dodge, but they do still have damage reduction, which is fine. But the big thing here is while all allies are extreme, or if you have a Future Saga, you get guards all attacks. So while you don't have the dodge with this unit, you have the guaranteed guard, which the other unit doesn't have. I almost like this better because rather than relying on the dodge, I'm just going to get the offensive crit. I'm still going to have 60% damage reduction with guard, which goes a long way. But the Goku does have higher damage reduction and dodge, so I feel like they did balance that out fairly well, right? And then when you have 18 key or the active skill, attack 200, launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super. That's the other thing is I believe the Goku unit just had a guaranteed super. This one is just a great chance to be a super here. And then defense plus 180 when receiving an attack. This is something else that's really good on the unit because you're getting guard, 60% damage reduction, and then this is a multiplicative defense 180, which means his defense is going to skyrocket when he gets hit. So I like the way they built this unit because this unit, I don't think it needs the dodge as much as the Goku unit. I think this unit, you know, combined with the guard, the damage reduction, and then this big multiplicative defense here, I think this unit will just naturally tank better anyways and won't need the dodge. So I think they did a really good job. And then starting from the 4th turn, you can do reversible exchange. The conditions from the 4th turn. The active skill on we start on the Goku Black side, right? So Goku Black, massively raise attack, cause ultimate damage, all attacks become crits, and Super Boss's category allies attack and defense 15%, plus another 10% for characters who belong to Future Saga for 4 turns. So the Goku Black side has the more support active skill, right? Which means that the Zamasu side is going to actually have the Fusion Zamasu fusion, right? By the way, I should have mentioned that. So on each unit, the active skill that is not the support one is the one where you actually do like the fusion, right? So the Vegito one is on the Goku side, and then on this one, the Fused Zamasu is actually on the Zamasu side. And then super attack effect, greatly raised attack and defense for 1 turn, colossal damage and lowers attack. The 18 key is greatly raised attack, and Mega Colossal raises allies attack by 60% for 1 turn. So the Goku unit does 60% defense. This unit does attack, which is very good. So they both have that support in slot 1. They're both built for slot 1. They're both incredibly defensive. So they're going to be very good units, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at the Zamasu side of things. So Zamasu, key 7, attack and defense 200, high chance to crit, guards all attacks. When attacking, attack and defense 200, Future Saga, extreme class allies damage reduction 10%. So this is a 10% damage reduction support ability. This is huge. We've seen how much of an impact this is on the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Giving that extra damage reduction is insane. So now having more units that can do that is actually kind of crazy. To be able to get that. And then when activating the active skill or 20 key super, attack and defense 200, an additional super, attack and defense 300, performs a crit and recovers 6% of damage dealt as HP when HP is 60% or less. So this character is pretty much going to have a full heal because you're going to get that huge attack buff and you're going to get a guaranteed crit. And this could also trigger on the active skill, right? So this character is going to be healing like crazy. So if you need to heal up, you go into Zamasu and you get that mega heal, right? And then here's the active skill. This is where you would actually turn into the Zamasu unit. Massively raise attack, cause ultimate damage to the enemy. And then you just get key 4 and a permanent 40% attack in battle, right? So the fusions are kind of like the selfish active skills where you give really good buff to just the unit itself. And then the more support for the team ones are going to be the other character where they don't actually fuse, right? 12 key super, greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn, colossal damage and lowers defense. And then the 18 key is massively raise attack and defense for 1 turn, mega colossal, and recovering 20% HP. So once again, think of Zamasu as your mega healing unit, right? And then once again, you know, I kind of think overall I'm going to be on the Goku Black side a little bit more. But this is a situation where I might go into Zamasu, use the active skill to get the heal and the selfish buff, and then go back to Goku Black with that huge buff on, which would be pretty crazy. So there's the Goku Black unit, kind of insane. Champa I'm actually kind of interested in, right? So Champa is attack and defense 166, chance to crit and damage reduction rate 22%. Realm of Gods are Universe 6 category allies 2 key and attack and defense 66%. So he is just a free 66% support unit, which is crazy. And you know what? Realm of Gods or Universe 6. Okay, I don't think this stacks. Does it? Shoot. Because this could stack. I think if it says Realm of Gods and Universe 6. If it says or, I think it's either or. But I know some of these God units have had stacking ones. Like, oh gosh, what's her name? The Universe 6 Angel, I know, has that effect. Where, like, she does a bunch of categories, and if you're on all of them, they all stack. I don't think this works that way, but if it does, this would be like 132% support if you're Realm of Gods and Universe 6. I'll have to double check on that, but that's still really good just being a 66, right? When all allies are Realm of Gods or Universe 6, attack 166, chance to crit, and another damage reduction rate of 22%. So they're 44% crit and damage reduction if you're on the setup. And then randomly changes key spheres to rainbow, which is good. For every key sphere obtained, defense 111 up to 666. So if you get 6 key spheres, you get 666% defense, which is insane. And then if you get 6 or more key spheres, chance to crit and damage reduction rate of 22. So the way this guy works out, right? You run them on a full Realm of Gods or Universe 6 setup. You get 6 orbs, and you're going to be at 66% chance to crit with 66% damage reduction with 666% defense. Oh, and by the way, when attacking with 12 or more keys, so just basically when you super, another 166% attack, a 66% chance to get another 166% attack and defense, and then a 6% chance to get 1,666% attack. So once in a blue moon, this guy is going to let off an absolute bomb. So I kind of hope throughout getting the banner, I at least get this guy to 2 dupes, and I would love to see what this bomb looks like. That is crazy. The Chomp is actually built really well. So once again, not a character you would think of for the celebration, but they built him really well so that he works great on either the Goku Black or the Zamasu team because it's just Realm of Gods. And then you can still use him on Universe 6, which is great. They did a good job with Champa. I'm actually very excited for him. I might have to go and pre-grind a bunch of those free-to-play STR Champas to prep for super attack level, right? Okay. So then we have a bunch of these clone units. I might go through these guys a little bit quicker because it's a lot to go through, right? But I think the way these guys are probably going to be built, I haven't read them all yet, but they're probably going to all have like very similar parts of their kit with some slight tweaks, right? So he changes key spheres if he's the second or third attacker at the start of turn. He gets attack and defense 40% up to 200 and chance to evade up to 50 per Future Saga category ally on the team. Pretty good. And then per Future Saga category with a clone on the team. So this is going to be similar to the Metal Coolers where they kind of specifically wanted to be run with other Metal Coolers. Just like that, the clones kind of want to be run together. So the clones are going to be most effective if they're all run on the same team. But one of the clones I'm assuming is going to have support. So you might be able to pick out 1 or 2 of these clones and use them as a spot filler if you need to. But for themselves, they're going to look best on a full clone team. Defense 30 up to 150. Chance of evading 4% up to 20. So you need at least 5 total clones on the team. So it doesn't have to be a full clone team. And I think the idea is you could say run the new LR Goku Black Zamasu exchange unit as the leader, and then you could do all clones. And they would probably actually look pretty nasty for like basically a free-to-play team, right? So they've got 50% dodge here, and they're going to get 20. So they're going to be a 70% dodge unit, right, on a full clone team. And then when you have all 5 types, which once again, the clone team is going to get you all those types, another attack and defense 150, and then all allies attack 30%. So they're a support unit with 70% dodge. 1 or more AGL key spheres obtained, and then another 20% chance to dodge. So they're 90% dodge if you get 1 AGL key sphere and you're on a full clone team. That's actually pretty wild. This guy's already looking like he's probably going to be the best one. When attacking with 12 or more key, attack and defense 200, 2 additional attacks, and each have a great chance of becoming a super. And what's the super attack effect? Greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn. Wow, AGL clone looking pretty good. We might have started with the best one there. Let's look at the tech clone. Okay, so they're all going to have key sphere changing a second or third attacker in the turn. So we got that. And then they're all going to have this, like a per future saga. The attack and defense 40 up to 200, they're all going to have that the same. But now this guy is attack and defense 8% down for all enemies, down to minus 40. So in a super battle road setup, this guy's going to show up and all the enemies are going to be minus 40% attack and defense. This is going to make like extreme super battle road pretty much no item runs for this team for anything they can be on, because you're lowering the attack and defense so much. And these guys are modern, so they're just going to kick butt in super battle road, right? And then another attack and defense up to 100. And then all enemies. Yeah, so this guy's like the attack down specialist. So the AGL one is dodge and support. The tech one is attack down. So now we're looking at 70% attack down if you're on a full clone team. And then all types, you get the attack and defense, but this guy interrupts the attack. Yeah, this is 100% like a super battle road king right here. And then this guy gets damage reduction with 1 tech key sphere, 40%. But only when they're hit by a super attack. That's fine. That's when you'd want it. And then when attacking with 12 or more key, attack and defense 200%, and then another attack and defense 200% if the enemy has a debuff. Got it. So they have to be 60% or less HP, attack down, defense down, stun, or sealed. So it's a debuff or low HP. Very good. So tech unit we'll say is the debuff unit. So we have the dodge support, we have the debuff unit. Let's see what the int unit is. Orb changing, the same attack. This guy's going to be a support unit. Attack and defense. Dude, this guy's going to be a 70% attack and defense support if you're on a full clone team. And then you get the attack buff there. The same attack buff there. This guy's got Scouter. Yo, Scouter. Recovers 10% HP with an int key sphere. And then 200% and then guaranteed guard. Wow. They all have some defensive mechanic. So the int unit's actually the better support unit. The AGL is more of a dodge unit with a little support. The int unit is the big support with the Scouter. So the int unit might actually be my favorite because the Scouter is ridiculous. Okay, nice. One of these has to be an offensive unit. I'm guessing it'll be the STR or physical one. Let's see what the physical one is. We have the orb changing. We have the attack and defense. This guy's going to be a damage reduction unit. Yo, dude, these guys are great. So this guy's going to be 50% damage reduction on a full clone team. Attack and defense up to 100. We got the 150 there. This guy's a defense support. Oh, I see. So the AGL one is dodge with attack support. The physical one is damage reduction with defense support. And then the int one is both support. Nice. And then he's got guard with a physical key sphere. So guard, 50% damage reduction. Attacks effective against all types, and then attack and defense 200. All right, I see where we're going here. So I feel like we have yet to see the best offensive one. I'm guessing it'll be the STR one. Let's see. So we got orb changing. We got the 200%. Yep, he's got crit. So he's got up to 75% crit there. Yeah, and he's going to have 20. So on a full clone team, the STR one is guaranteed crit. And then attack up to 150. Attack and defense there. Attack and defense there. Guaranteed additional super, 200%, and then damage reduction 20. Yeah, so the STR one is just the offensive one. Make sure when you build him, do not give him any crit. I would probably go, I mean, it's going to be for on a fun team anyway, so I would actually just give him like full additionals and then maybe just toss a little dodge on him. If you're going to try to run him in hard content, you'd probably want to give him a full dodge build. But I think giving him full additional, because he's going to have the guaranteed crit, the additionals, even the normals are going to hit really hard, right? So, dude, the clone team, I mean, it's definitely going to be like the new best free-to-play team in the game. They make the Saiyan Saga team look like like wimps. They're going to be insane. So yeah, that's going to be the new best free-to-play team in the game. And then the thing is, I'm going to skip ahead here, but if we look at this guy, well, I would assume the clones are on time travelers. I'll have to check that actually. But assuming the clones are on time travelers, they might not be though, because they're like created, you know, in one singular moment. But if they're on time travelers, I mean, as a free-to-play setup, you run this guy as the leader. Well, he's only at 100%, but it's at least something you could use as a full free-to-play setup. I guess I didn't even check their own. No, their own leader skills were only 50%. The thing with those shadow clones that I'm excited about is those kits look good, like fantastic actually, to the point where I do not think they're going to easy A, which is awesome. You don't want that. We want their easy A to come later on, right? All right, last, let's look at the super easy A's and we'll wrap up the video. Physical Vegito Blue looks to be absolutely insane, by the way. So he's got Key 2, Attack and Defense 200, 20% damage reduction right out of the gate, launches 2 additionals, which have a high chance to be a super. So that's a 50% chance, which is good because it used to be 30. Randomly changes Key Spheres to physical to except physical to rainbow. So he's a rainbow orb changer. Start a turn damage reduction, and then 2 guaranteed attacks with a 50% chance to super. Attack and defense 150 while attacking. For every attack, he gets 30% attack infinitely within the turn. And this is a unit we all know just likes to churn out a million attacks in a turn. So this guy's attack is going to be shooting up and up and up and up with every attack he does. This also counts when he crits. So every time he crits, he's going to get this also. When he receives a normal, he gets 60% damage reduction and counters. And remember, he's got this start to turn 20 up here. So he's 80% damage reduction on normals. That means this guy's going to be untouchable in the hardest content in normals for sure. Then when he gets a super attack aimed at him, he gets a 50% chance to evade, which is really good because that's always been the weakness of the counter units is normals they're incredible, but supers will slaughter them. So he actually has a chance to live against supers here. And then he gets another 30% dodge if your HP 70% or less. So if you're in a little bit of a pinch, he's actually got an 80% chance to dodge supers. Like if I'm under 70% HP going into a turn in the hardest content, I actually feel okay putting this guy in slot 1. And the nice thing is they did all of the dodge only when receiving a super, so it doesn't take away from his counters. So if you got a hard, difficult event where the enemy's attacking a million times in slot 1 before you attack, you can actually comfortably put this guy in slot 1, let him dish out all the insane damage off of counters, and then in the event you get supered, you got an 80% chance to dodge that if you're under 70% HP. So very well designed. And then when all allies are super, or if there's a future saga, you get effective against all types, which really helps with the crits, or with the counters. Super class allies attack and defense 40%, 2-turn support, which is huge. And then it's a 1-turn support for extreme class allies, which is insane. The thing with this guy, even though he has effective against all types, I would still give him a full crit build because the crits are going to do a lot more damage than just the regular attacks. And with the millions of attacks this guy's churning out, you are going to want him to crit. So you want to go max crit build on him still. I could see the justification for dodge build because even with the protection, you still want to make sure you don't get hit by that, right? Because if you're not under 70% dodge or HP, then the dodge is only 50%. You might want the hidden potential dodge to back that up. But I think going very offensive with this guy is the way to go. That's what he's meant to be. All right, we got AGL Rose. Attack and defense 200. Damage reduction. Oh, and by the way, this guy's super attack effect is greatly raised attack and defense on super for 1 turn. So that, between that and the permanent attack up per, not permanent, but the infinitely stacking in that turn attack in his passive, he's going to be hitting like a truck. Believe me. AGL Goku Black. Attack and defense 200, 20% damage reduction. All allies keep 3 in attack and defense 30%. Launches an additional super. So he just gets a free additional super. That's awesome. Defense 200 when receiving a super. And then additional defense 100 if HP is 70% or less. So that's his defensive mechanic, is just having a lot of defense, right? And then for every attack received, attack 60% up to 300. So that's what, 6 times... Is that 5? Yeah. So you have to get hit 5 times. Okay. And then chance of performing a crit, 10% up to 50. Damage reduction rate of 25% within the turn up to 50. So he's at 25% damage reduction, or no, 20%. And then if you get hit once, he goes up to 45. And then he goes up to 70. So if he gets hit twice, he's 70% damage reduction. So this is good because like early on, I mean, if this guy gets turn one, slot one, he gets supered, he still will take a lot of damage. But, you know, Goku Blacks tend to have this effect where they want to get hit to build up. This is probably one of the best setups they've given him because he's got all this defense up when getting hit. Like this right here. And this right here is really huge for extra defense, like to get those hits in as you built up and then having some damage reduction and then building this up. So if this guy gets normal twice, then he should be pretty safe for the turn. If he gets supered before getting hit twice, he definitely could take some damage, right? And then if you're full extreme or you have one future saga, he guards all attacks. That's huge for him. So the guard plus damage reduction, this guy gets normal twice. He's going to be pretty much unkillable. And then super class allies get 20% crit chance and extreme get 20% crit chance for 2 turns. So very, very cool. I think both those units look fantastic. And then last, let's just look at the free-to-play Zamasu really quick. Attack and defense 159. Orb changes to STR. He gets an additional, has a high chance to be a super. Super class enemies get attack and defense 30% down. Extreme class allies get attack and defense 40% up. Damage reduction 20% for 4 turns. I don't know why that has to be limited to 4 turns. If you have a future saga or all allies are extreme, key 3, chance of performing a crit and damage reduction rate 40%. Launches an additional super. So for the first 4 turns, he's going to have 60% damage reduction. Every attack received, key 2 up to 10. So I'm guessing they made this temporary because they don't always want you to have the 60, but they want you to have that extra to help you get built up because he needs to get hit to build up, right? 1 attacking with 12 or more key, attack and defense 159. 18 key, another 159% defense. When the target enemy is 59% or less HP, or if they're attack down or defense down, guaranteed crit and attack plus 159. I'm glad they're starting to do this now. This is the second unit we've seen in this video where, you know, a common thing they've had in the game is where a unit needs to be debuffed to get a buff. But the problem is in a lot of hard content, the enemies are immune to all debuffs. I love that they're giving you another avenue to get it by saying that the enemy is under a certain HP threshold. I think in the future, moving forward, they're going to continue to do this because they realize that when units get important buffs just on debuffs, they're completely taking them out of certain content. By having this HP threshold as an option, it means in any type of content, you can get this buff. And because of this, I don't think I would give this guy crit at all. I'm pretty sure I would just give this guy full dodge build, to be honest, just because he's free to play. Maybe some additional, we'll see. And then if he delivers the final blow, we all hate the final blow mechanic. Attack, defense, and chance to evade 59%. Okay, but it's infinite. Oh, if this guy did AoEs, that would be crazy. So in a long event, every time this guy kills an enemy, he gets 59% attack and defense and dodge. That's actually really interesting. I like it that it's not like essential to his kit, but if you get it, it's insane because like this guy's kind of built on damage reduction and just trying to be defensive, right? But then if you get a kill, and I guess the idea is maybe you get a kill before this damage reduction falls off, then you've got 59% dodge to back it up. Not to mention that, so does that mean if this guy kills 2 enemies, he's 100% chance to dodge? Am I reading this right? He just kills 2 enemies. Granted, that's not the easiest, right? Because a lot of content might only have one or 2 phases anyways. That's kind of cool. Because if you do an event where like the first phase has multiple enemies, and you can work it out so that this guy gets 2 rotations where he kills an enemy in each one, he could have 100% dodge for the rest of the fight. That's very cool. I like his design. I think they did a really good job with him. That's awesome. Very cool. So anyways, guys, there you go. That is what we know so far from the data download. Once again, we do have the leak that GT is coming in part 2. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're all summoning. By the way, I am going to post my summons. I'm either going to do a video or I might live stream it. I am heavily considering live streaming tonight. So anyways, let me know what y'all think. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.